for another weekly wrap-up where I share with you the comics I've read for the week. Well, anyways, let's get on with this. I started off this week with reading Swamp Thing, the Saga of the Swamp Thing, Volume 3. Well, anyways, if you have not read anything by Alan Moore has this way of writing supernatural stories. And this one, he doesn't let you down. It's still a great story. Although I do have to admit that the first story was really kind of, I don't know, it kind of had me lost until it further got into it. And it was from a previous story that I don't really remember, but there was a town that was flooded and there were vampires living under the water. It was really kind of weird and interesting. And then later it got on about some southern plantation, and the ghosts of the plantation were like possessing this movie crew that was trying to film there. And that was a pretty interesting story too. But I didn't enjoy this as much as I did previous volumes. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars just because the first story and the last story really did it for me. Although some of the stories in the middle were just kind of okay. But it's still worth checking out because it's written by Alan Moore. After that, I picked up a book that was recommended to me by Goodreads, and it is Daisy Cutter, The Last Train. Now, I had never heard of Daisy Cutter, but obviously it's some kind of Wild West kind of thing. She's this girl who I guess used to be a robber, like a gunslinger kind of villain type character. And I didn't know that it was Japanese until I had picked it up. And I usually am hesitant to read Japanese comic books just because so far every Japanese comic book I've ever read, I can't get into them. The way they animate the emotions of the characters seem like over the top and really, just kind of annoying in such a way. But I kind of like this, and it's not in the Old West. It takes place in the future where there's robots and stuff, and she owns a shop, and she's kind of bored being a shopkeeper, but she's looking for some excitement in her life, and somebody offers her a job to rob a train, and I'm not going to say anything more about it, because I don't want to spoil it in case you want to read it. But yeah, it was an enjoyable read. It has very minimal dialogue, even though there are some pages that have a lot of dialogue. There's just a lot of just action scenes where there are no speaking parts. So I thought it was okay, and I rated this one 3 out of 5 stars. It's worth checking out if you're into, supportive female heroes or anti-heroes. I guess you could say she's an anti-hero. But I found it to be interesting because, it's kind of cool. It's set in the future, and it's kind of like reverting to like the old Wild West. So I thought it was kind of neat. Wasn't bad. While I have said many times I appreciate a good alternate history of known heroes, and I thought before I read any of these books that Tom DeFalco was onto a potentially great story by having the sons and daughters of famous heroes create their own future teams. And with this title especially, Last Hero Standing, you would think it would be an epic battle, like showdown to end all battles. It sounds like it's going to be this great epic event. I mean, the cover alone makes you think that, doesn't it? Well, anyways, to get to the gist of this book, which was sadly disappointing, if you do not know, this alternate world, there is the Avengers next. The Juggernaut's son is one of the team members. And the real-time heroes have all aged in real time. Captain America is old. Peter Parker is old. He's kind of handicapped. But he still decides to pick up the mantle of Spider-Man and fight in this. But somebody is mysteriously kidnapping heroes, and they don't know why. And it's a big mystery. There's these tunnels that go underneath the earth, and they don't know where they go to, and the heroes disappear into them. Sounds lame, doesn't it? Yeah. I don't know what prompted me to keep reading this. But even the ending it couldn't get any lamer than when it ended. And I don't want to spoil it for you, but it was just so lame. I was really disappointed by this book, and I have to say I only rated it 2 out of 5 stars. If you ever come across this book, you get the opportunity to read it, just go the other way, don't read it. It's not worth the headache or the time wasted. It's really not that great. Guys, before I show you the next 3 books, I just want to mention that when I requested these from the library, I assumed they were going to be full-on trades, but instead they're like single issues that are hardbound, and I had to do some research, and I guess they're library-bound single issues, so I thought that was kind of odd, and I don't know how many of them I had checked out, but I checked out like a bunch of these Spidergirl books, because if you know, for the last few weeks, I've been reading a lot of those alternate Marvel heroes. Well, this is one of them. This one is Spider-Girl Bedeviled. I don't know which volume, like which issue this is, because that's one of the things that's disappointing. It doesn't tell you which issue it is. And of course, if you're not familiar with it, this is an alternate version, a different history, alternate universe per se, and I'm not sure if the Secret Wars is going to include these characters. Hopefully Spider-Girl will be included in the Spider-Verse story for Secret Wars, but I don't know. Well, anyways, Spider-Girl fights this random, crazy, bullseye-type villain called Crazy Eights, and he throws 8 balls that do things like the Hobgoblin, so it's kind of a repetition of different characters, and she meets up very briefly with Dark Devil, who is a supernatural Daredevil type character. Not much is said about him, and I don't know that he got his own title, so he's kind of a mystery to me. And like I said, it's a single issue, so it's really, really short. This one I only rated like 3 out of 5 stars, because there really wasn't much content to go on, and there wasn't much I could really think about it. After that, I picked up Fun and Games to Fantastic 5. This is, of course, another single issue Spider-Girl, and yet again, I don't know what number it is. And I have to say that some of these, I feel like I've read them before. Like, especially the last one and this one, they felt very repetitious, like I've already read this content. Well, anyways, this one features a villain named Spiral, who I've never heard of, but he must be from the regular Marvel Universe, because he mentions that in his dimension, the Fantastic Four is only 4 people and not 5. And this one was a little more interesting than the other one, so I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars. And like I said before, this one is really short. There wasn't much to say about it. Then I picked up Battles the Deadly Dragon King. Yet again, another issue. I'm not sure. I'm thinking these are early issues, because this one seems to be the turning point where, the other 2, she seemed like she was kind of unsure as to whether she wants to be Spider-Girl. But in this one, she makes the definite choice to be Spider-Girl full-time. And this one was a much better story, so I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars. Like I said, these were library-bound single issues. I don't even know if they have these for sale on Amazon, so when I go to do my blog post that shows and shares which books I've read for the week, I don't know if I'm going to even be able to find these. Next up, we have what has to be the worst incarnation of X Factor there ever was, and this is Volume 3. If you're not familiar with this version of X Factor, this is where the multiple man, James Maddrax, decides to get X-Force / New Mutants together, and they create a detective agency that is trying to solve why mutants have lost their powers, and they don't realize it was from M-Day that they lost all their powers or whatnot. This one volume is even lamer. As if that plot wasn't lame enough, the whole thing is an X-Team being a detective agency was not bad enough. This one starts out with their meeting with a shrink who's hidden in the shadows. It's not revealed till about the middle of the book who he is, and it's that's an even lamer thing because it's Doc Samson, and it's like, why would he be a shrink for mutants all of a sudden? Well, anyways, most of this book is just drama involving the multiple lives. The Many Lives of Maddrax is the title. I thought this was garbage. I really did not like it. Even though it does have a high rating on Goodreads, it has like a 4.25 rating on Goodreads, I think. I rated this one 1 out of 5 stars. I just did not care for it at all. Maybe you'll like it. I mean, so far a lot of people seem to have liked this series or this title, but I absolutely hated it. Okay, and this is where I'm going to make my final book a part of this weekly wrap-up here, and that is Last Planet Standing. This is another book, and it revolves around the same universe as Spider-Girl and the Avengers Next and The Last Hero Standing. Although this book was not as lame or as bad as Last Hero Standing, it involves the universe being threatened by Galactus, of course, and it's just this universe's dealings with Galactus. This time around, Galactus is on a different sort of mission. He's not just trying to devour planets. He's trying to recreate himself or be reborn. So it wasn't that bad of a story. I mean, it was okay. Action-wise, it was pretty decent. Characters were okay. But I do have to say that the very end was okay, but yet still kind of lame. Because I expected the dialogue to reflect the ending. And the ending was just kind of like, seemed like it was written in haste. It was just like, nothing, like this event happens and they save the universe, and then, you know, not spoiling it or anything, but you guys kind of had a feeling that was going to happen, right? But yeah, it just didn't. The dialogue was just so cheesy. It didn't really seem to be that great. I don't recall really reading anything else by Tom DeFalco but these books, and it was just okay. So I rated this 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. So that is my weekly wrap-up for the week. I did want to mention before I ended this video, for those who follow these and you want to find like other graphic novels or comics to read, and you don't want to sit through a whole 15 to 20 minute plus video, that you can always click the link that I include in my description with the video, and it tells you, like, once you click that, I have a numbered list of all the graphic novels that are included in the video, and plus how much they are on Amazon and all that. I figured it's a little resourceful thing for those who don't want to sit through a 20-minute video, or if you don't know if you want to watch the whole video, like, you can just go there, and if there's a book you're interested in, then you can feel free watching it. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Until next time, later guys.